So part of this muscular imbalance too is abdominal weakness. We want to have good tone and good strength in this part of our body because we want it to be able to stabilize our core and also our spine. Very important for core spine health and the legs and everything really. One muscle in particular that we're going to talk about, which is sort of the basis for a lot of core stability, is called the transverse abdominis. We have different abdominal muscles. Most of us are familiar with the six-pack abs that we see some people showing off at the beach. We also have the obliques that run kind of diagonally on the sides. They do a lot of the side bending and rotation movements. But beneath those three different layers is kind of our own muscle that is like our own corset, and it's the fibers of the muscle run like this, and when it tightens, it just kind of keeps everything still and stable. You got to have this thing firing for a healthy spine. So, how do we strengthen it? We just go to the basics. This is a very, very fundamental exercise for anyone trying to do any core work. What I'm going to do is I'm going to just take my hands and feel my frontal hip bones. We described this in the pelvic clock exercise. Go and reference that if you need to. We're going to find the pelvic neutral that we also described in the pelvic clock exercise. So we're not going to be super arched and we're not going to be super slouchy or dumpy. We're going to just kind of be right in the middle, neutral. That's our sweet spot. This is the position that we're trying to stabilize and maintain. Okay, this is where the spine has the least compression and tension. We want to train our stability muscles here in this position. So we've got it in pelvic neutral. And just sort of make sure that, you know, one frontal hip bone isn't down. They're just kind of, they feel like, you know, they're even, right? Not too askew. Then I'm going to come right inside those frontal hip bones and I'm going to just feel just inside that kind of soft spot in my abdomen. And what I'm going to do then is try to firm up in that area. So what a lot of people find success with is the sensation of just gently drawing their belly button in a little bit, or the area slightly beneath the belly button, just kind of drawing it in. And again, I'm feeling here, and I'm going to draw in, and you should feel a tension rise up and meet those fingers. It should be something that you're going to sit here and hold. You should still be able to talk while holding the tension. I've got mine tense right now. All right, now I'm relaxing. Press my fingers in, and I tense up and I hold. So it's for some people, the sensation of just firming up down in here is good enough for them to get that muscle to firm up and kind of rise up into the fingertips. For other people, it's the sensation of pulling your belly button in a little bit, kind of like you have that impromptu beach photo. You said, oh, hey, here we go. Whatever works for you to kind of get the feeling under your fingertips of that muscle contracting, that is what you want. You should still be able to breathe. You should still be able to talk. And the drawing in that I describe is not sucking it in. It's just a gentle firming up in the very lower abdomen. If you're having trouble getting this muscle to contract, or if you feel it more on one side, on one hand than the other, some things you can do are to sort of just make sure you're resetting, make sure you're truly in pelvic neutral. If you're still not getting a good contraction or you're still not really feeling what you're doing, you can reset your muscles by taking a couple of good diaphragmatic breaths. The breath is integral to all kinds of different muscular tensions in the body. Take your hands here on the outside of your rib cage and take some breaths. Imagine the air going through the tube down into the belly and expanding out to the side, not breathing with the belly, but expanding out to the side. Feel these ribs expand and contract. It's best with mouth closed, doing it through the nose. On the inhale, and going pursed lip, exhale. So that's something that you can do to help try to get good diaphragmatic breath. If you do 3 to 5 of those, come back, you may notice that the muscular activation is a little bit better. It's a reflexive thing that happens when you sometimes you just need to take a couple good breaths, and then your whole system is just revved up a little bit better. Another thing, finally, that you can do if you're still having trouble kicking in this muscle is you can do a pelvic floor contraction. Okay, so it's kind of that pelvic floor drawing up and creating a tension there. And if you contract that, you'll probably feel this muscle under your fingertips. Again, I'm right inside of my frontal hip bones. I'm not pushing in so hard that it hurts. I'm just kind of sinking in a little bit. If you do a pelvic floor contraction, you will probably also feel a little bit of a contraction of that muscle. And then you can just try to, you're pulling up the pelvic floor, and then you'll get a little bit of tension being sensed under your fingers. And then you can just try to tense this muscle, draw in the belly button, firm up a little bit in the lower abdomen, however it makes sense to you. You can just firm up a little bit more on top of the pelvic floor contraction. Okay, so again, if you're having trouble with it, you do the pelvic floor, it helps you a little bit, then just tighten the lower abdomen on top and try to sense under your fingers. Did that help the muscle kick in a little bit? Okay, so making sure that you can still breathe, you're not sucking it in, you're just drawing it in, firming up the lower abdomen. Things you can do to help yourself are to do a pelvic floor contraction, or back up, take a couple of diaphragmatic breaths. Make sure you're in pelvic neutral to do this whole thing. And when I tell people to do this, I say hold 3 to 5 seconds and do at least 10 of these. If you can build up to 30, even better. Okay? And hopefully with time you'll start finding yourself contracting a little more on your own with your daily activities.